Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, may I?
Go ahead, Pragya.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadkamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखा अन्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्य वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तविंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. At the start, we'll start with this question. So if you recall, just before the holidays, I had given you all this document to meditate on the limbs of the Lord. Anybody remembers any points from these? Where I had also given you a lecture from Bhakti Yoga Prabhu on how to take darshan. And as part of that, I had given you this document, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 28, verses 13 to 33. Anybody remembers? Anybody did read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Pragya, you can stay silent. You are
Sorry, Prabhuji.
the chief for this discussion. Anybody else? Did anybody read, or whatever I give goes in a black hole? All right. So I don't give you just for the sake of giving. You're supposed to follow what I'm giving you. So Pragya wanted to explain these points on how to meditate on the limbs of the Lord to a friend who is not so much into spirituality. And Pragya was having a hard time to explain this to somebody who is not in spirituality. So Pragya used her ability and used technology to create this short video. So I'll play this video and you let me know the effort or the ability of Pragya. Let's hear what Pragya has done. So what I named this video is that this is from the same verses, Canto 3, Chapter 28, verses 13 to 33, which was Meditate on the Limbs of the Lord. And I added this is an impactful video created by Pragya. Let's see what Pragya did.
Hey, welcome to our explainer. Today we are diving into a really fascinating meditation technique, one that comes straight out of the Vaishnava tradition. It's essentially a guided visualization, a very specific, step-by-step method for focusing the mind on the divine. So let's get right into it. So, our journey today is actually going to mirror the meditation itself. First up, we'll talk about why meditating on a form can be so incredibly powerful. Then, we're going to start at the very foundation, the Lord's feet, and slowly move up through the body, all the way to the climax at the compassionate face. And finally, we'll see what the ultimate goal of all this is, a mind that's totally steady and at peace. But before we jump into the how, let's just touch on something we've all experienced, right? why is it so incredibly hard to just quiet our own minds? You've been there, I've been there, you try to focus, and then 2 seconds later, your thoughts are a million miles away. Well, that mental restlessness is the exact problem this practice is built to solve. Okay, so our source material lays out this really fascinating contrast. On one side, you've got meditation on a personal form, which gives the mind a solid, concrete anchor. This is described as a really natural process for the mind. But on the other side, meditating on an abstract void is called very troublesome. And the idea here is that the mind just isn't built to grasp on to nothingness. It's kind of like trying to grab a handful of smoke. So where does a meditation like this even begin? Well, the instructions are super specific. You don't try to picture the whole thing at once. Instead, the practice starts at the very foundation, the lotus feet. The yogi is meant to concentrate on each part one at a time. It's this methodical, bottom-up approach that's so key to building focus without getting completely overwhelmed. Let's get into the details here. The meditation kicks off with the soles of the feet, which are described as having these auspicious marks, like a thunderbolt and a lotus. Then your focus moves to the nails. They have this ruby-like glow, and they're even compared to the moon, whose light is said to just dispel the darkness and confusion from a person's heart. And this right here gets to the heart of why the meditation starts at the feet. See, it's not just a visual thing. The text says that this intense focus literally acts like a thunderbolt, shattering the mountain of sin. You could think of that as all our negative conditioning stored in the mind. It's a purification process that really prepares you for the rest of the journey. All right, so with the mind a bit more purified and that foundation firmly set, the meditation starts its ascent. The focus now begins to move, systematically, up the form, building this incredible visualization piece by piece. You know, the level of detail here is just remarkable. The yogi contemplates the thighs, described as being the color of a linseed flower. Then the hips, with their girdle and this exquisite yellow silk garment. The focus then moves up to the chest, which has the special Srivatsa mark. That's a unique curl of white hair. And then to the neck, which is adorned with the brilliant Kasatuba gem. Now this brings us to a really cool idea, spiritual freshness. The text explains that unlike our world where everything fades, things in the spiritual realm never do. They're inexhaustible. Take the Lord's flower garland. Even after the flowers have been picked, they stay so fresh and fragrant that bees are just forever humming around them. And to really hammer this point home, the source gives us this wild piece of metaphysical math. In the spiritual world, 1 minus 1 is 1. It's this powerful way of saying that everything is inexhaustible. Nothing can ever be diminished. It's a total flip of the logic we're used to, right? As the meditation keeps moving upward, the symbolism just gets bigger and bigger, truly cosmic in scale. The navel is seen as the very foundation of the entire universe, where creation itself sprouts from. The chest is the home of Mahalakshmi, the goddess of fortune and the source of all energies. Literally every single detail is just packed with profound meaning. Next, the yogi focuses on the Lord's forearms, which are the source of power for the whole cosmos. And in his hands, you see his implements, the dazzling Sudarsana discus, the conch shell that looks like a swan, and the powerful Kaumodake club, which is used to vanquish all kinds of negativity. And now, we've arrived. This is the culmination of the entire journey. After building this visualization from the ground up, the final and really the most intimate point of focus is the Lord's captivating and compassionate face. I mean, listen to how poetic this language is. The face is compared to a lotus, the hair to swarming bees, and the eyes to a pair of swimming fish. But even these beautiful images, the text says, are completely put to shame by its elegance. But here's the most crucial part. It's about the power of his gaze. It's not just about beauty, it's about the feeling it gives you. The text says his compassionate glances are a direct remedy for the threefold agonies. Those are the deepest kinds of suffering we all experience, whether they come from our own minds, from other people, or from nature itself. This compassionate gaze, along with his loving smiles, are seen as a manifestation of abundant grace. So it's not just a passive image you're looking at, it's an active bestowal of favor and comfort on the person who's meditating. And this might be the most powerful description of them all. The Lord's smile, it said, has the power to dry up an entire ocean of tears caused by intense grief. For the yogi, meditating on this smile is the ultimate cure for sorrow. From that smile, the focus shifts to the Lord's laughter. And again, the details are so vivid. Small teeth like jasmine buds, colored by his lips. Even his eyebrows have a purpose. They're described as so captivating they can charm away lust itself, helping the yogi move beyond material attachment. So, after all of this, what is the ultimate goal of this entire meticulous process? Well, it's what the scriptures call the perfection of yoga, to achieve a mind that is completely fixed, steady, and at peace. And this is where it all leads. After being guided so carefully to this point of profound beauty and compassion, the mind just becomes fully absorbed and totally satisfied. The text says the yogi no longer wants to see or chase after anything else. That constant restlessness we talked about at the beginning, it's finally gone. So let's just do a quick recap of the entire journey we've just explored. You start at the feet to purify the mind. Then you ascend limb by limb, taking in all the divine weapons and ornaments. The journey culminates at the captivating face, where the mind is finally absorbed in compassion and you achieve that ultimate goal, perfect stillness. And that brings our explainer to a close, but it leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. This text proposes one very specific, very beautiful object of focus. But for all of us, in our own lives, what is the ultimate object of our attention, and where does that attention ultimately lead us? Thanks for joining us.
Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhu, it's a very amazing and I don't know, I can't even describe it beyond words. It is really amazing. And for someone to have this level of creativity to be able to put it in, it's all God's grace. I can see that. So it's amazing.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, beautiful. Only Pragya can do this. Hari Bol.
A beautiful presentation by Pragya. And it must have, not for Pragya, but for me, definitely just coming up with this idea is something, it's beyond my current capabilities. But thank you for explaining this so beautifully.
Right.
So artistic, Prabhuji. It's so beautiful.
So I give you these lectures, these documents. They go in a black hole for many of you.
Prabhu, I apologize. I just didn't have time to catch up during that break. I had an international trip and it's my apologies. I will definitely, catch up on my reading.
And then you expect results without putting endeavor. I mean, I'm not here to chastise anyone. You are better definitely than materialistic people. But I am putting in so much effort for you all to give you the cream, and you don't even have the courtesy to read the cream. Pragya wanted to say something before.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I would have also not read the text had the need not arisen because of my friend and your guidance to read that. And Prabhuji, actually, when I read the purports after having done this video using AI, I found that Prabhupada's descriptions are just beyond anything else. If you read that, it is much more, even when I speak this, my hair is rising, He's written it so beautifully, like about that necklace in the neck. He says it's not the necklace that increases the beauty of the neck, but it is the neck which is, gracing the necklace. And it is so beautifully written that this video is nothing compared to what Prabhupada has done.
Exactly.
So that is amazing.
Exactly. So we have discussed this, that ornaments don't make the Lord beautiful. The ornaments, when they sit in the cupboard in the temple, they don't look beautiful. When you put it on the Lord, that's when the ornament looks beautiful, means the Lord makes the ornament beautiful. And Pragya is right. I gave you these documents to meditate on the limbs of the Lord. You get goosebumps, exactly how Pragya is describing. And you all don't even care. So I was gonna say whether any one of you want this video and the document, but I'm not gonna ask this question now. So what's the point? It's again gonna go in some black hole.
Yes, amazing video. I want to watch it again. Thank you.
Prabhu, please kindly send the document and the video, Prabhu. I will definitely read it today. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu, please.
I will share the document and the video in the chat. All right, I send the document and the video in the chat. All right, so today we will discuss Canto 2, Chapter 7 to whatever our time permits to discuss the verses. We may not be able to finish the whole chapter, but we'll see how it progresses. So the recap of where we are, that universal form of the Lord is described from various angles. Brahmaji describes that Lord is the original creator and Brahmaji is the secondary creator. Brahmaji is assembling only the parts that are originally created by the Lord. Brahmaji glorifies the Lord, plus Brahmaji says that the Lord remains not fully knowable. Canto 2, Chapter 7 is titled Scheduled Incarnation with Specific Functions and is divided into 6 parts. Part 1, verses 1 to 25, various incarnations of the Lord. Part 2, verses 26 to 35, activities of Lord Krishna. Part 3, verses 36 to 39, more incarnations. Part 4, verses 40 to 46, understanding the Lord only by His mercy. Part 5, verses 47 to 49, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Part 6 is verses 50 to 53. It's a summary. So it's going to be a straightforward and an easier class today. So chapter 7 summary is that Brahmaji established Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahmaji explains universal form, various incarnations, and activities of Krishna. In parts 1, 2, and 3, the first 39 verses, various avatars, say Guna avatars, Leela avatars, Manvantra, Shakti Avesha avatars, and Vibhutis of the Lord, along with their prime purpose of descent, are described. In total, 25 incarnations are mentioned in these verses. Incarnation of the Lord is not some concocted idea. No one should think that this is out of imagination. Incarnations appear under certain extraordinary circumstances. We accept an incarnation as God when they are described in scriptures, not because of somebody's imagination. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, could you repeat the chapter sections again?
So they are already there on the Google document that you have. You can just take it from there. They are listed there.
Okay, thank you,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
So the Google document for the presentation is already set up for this unit. You can just take it from there.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, around verse 21, that when the Lord comes to this world, the Lord's actions are in two phases, and both are important. First is actions that are to set an example. Example, Lord Ram acted in dutiful, exemplary way. This is to set an example. And actions that are done to demonstrate the Lord's position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Example, lifting Govardhan, killing demons, etc. So Srila Prabhupada explains in a lecture that Lord is Urukama. That Lord does unimaginable tasks. Brahmaji is explaining the various incarnations. We will not go into detail of all these incarnations. We will just read the verse translations and some brief key points, because all these incarnations, or at least many of them, will come up in our Bhagavatam study. So from this chapter 7, we need to understand that Lord is all powerful. And with this understanding, this chapter 7 becomes very meaningful. Any questions, comments, realizations so far? All right. Vimal Prabhu will read verse 1 and 2 translation and then 2 purport. In the verse 2 purport, Prabhupada explains that no one can be taken as incarnation unless specified in the scriptures. Vimal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Chapter 7, Text 1. Lord Brahma said, when the uh, unlimited powerful Lord assumed the form of a boar as a pastime, just to lift the planet Earth, which was drowned in the great ocean of the universe called the Garbhodaka, the first demon, Hiranyakashipu, appeared, and the Lord pierced him with his tusks. Text 2. The Prajapati first begot Sanjana in the womb of his wife Akuti, and then Sanjana begot demigods, headed by Suyama in the womb of his wife Dakshina. Sanjana as the Indra Deva diminished very great miseries in the three planetary system, upper, lower, and intermediate. And because he so diminished the miseries of the universe, he was later called Hari by the great father of mankind, namely Swambhu Manu. Purport. In order to guard against the inventions of unauthorized incarnation of God by the phrase but by the fanciful less intelligent persons, the name of the father of the bona fide incarnation is also mentioned in the authorized revealed scriptures. No one therefore can be accepted as an incarnation of the Lord if his father's name as well as this name of the village or place in which he appears is not mentioned by the authorized scriptures. In the Bhagavad Puran, the name of the Kalaki incarnation, which is to take place in most 400,000 years, is mentioned with the name of his father and the name of the village in which he will appear. A, a sane man, therefore, does not accept any cheap addition of any incarnation without reference of the authorized scriptures. Hare Krishna.
So Varahadev is described that Varahadev lifted earth from Garbhodaka ocean, and in Canto 3, chapters 13 to 19, describes the fight of Varahadev with Hiranyaksha, and he killed Hiranyaksha. Then Suyajana, the son of Prajapati and Akuti, is described as begotten demigod. And then Indradev diminished miseries of the three world. And therefore the Lord is called as Hari. We'll read verse 3 and purport paragraph number 1, where Prabhupada explains the purpose of scriptures. Archana, verse 3, translation and paragraph 1.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, Prabhu, before that, I have a question. So, Indradev has a father and mother, right?
Okay, what's the question?
The question is like, no, Miss, I just want to ask. Indradev has a father and mother.
Everybody has a father and mother except few, such as Krishna does not take birth like how we take birth, or we have also discussed in Canto 1, Chapter 9, that Narad Muni, when he appeared in this millennium, his birth is not ordinary. Narad Muni's birth is similar to Krishna's appearance. So Narad Muni's birth is also not called birth. is also called appearance. So there are a few exceptions. Otherwise, everybody has a father and mother. Of course, we know Brahmaji does not have a mother.
Mother.
Brahmaji came only from Krishna. Therefore, Brahmaji is known as Swayambhu. Archana.
So my question is, Indradev take a birth on the earth planet and then he promoted to the heavenly planet?
So it's not like that. In heaven also you can take birth. Right? You can take birth anywhere in the universe, in the material world. So the system of taking birth is identical in all 8.4 million life forms and in any of the 14 planetary systems in any of the universe in the material world. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 24, towards the very end in the Rudra Gita, it explains that living entities take birth from 4 different ways. One is somebody born from a seed or from embryo or from egg or from perspiration. So these 4 are common whichever universe it be, material universe. So on heaven also you can take birth. You have living beings in heaven also. You can take birth even on the sun planet. There are living beings on the sun planet also. Life is identical. It's just that those who live on sun planet, their body is made out of fire. Therefore, they are able to live on the sun planet. Archana?
Okay, Prabhu, yeah.
Pragya?
Prabhuji, I just wanted to understand this. We are saying Indradev, because he so diminished the miseries of universe, is called Hari. So when we say Hari Bol, are we referring to Indradev or we are referring to Krishna?
So Krishna is also known as Hari, who steals the heart. Here you have to understand with the context. So when we say Hari, no, we are referring to Krishna. We are not referring to Indra.
Okay, Prabhuji. And our Hari is the person who steals heart, not the person who diminishes the misery.
Correct. The Hari we know, Krishna is one who steals the heart.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Archana, verse 3 and purport, paragraph 1.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Text 3. The Lord then appeared as a Kapila incarnation. Being the son of the Prajapati, Brahmana, Kardama, and his wife, Devotee, along with 9 other women, sisters, he spoke to his mother about a self-realization, by which, in that very lifetime, he became fully cleansed of the mud of the material mode and thereby achieved liberation, the path of Kapila. Purport. The whole purport, Prabhuji? Yeah, just one para.
Paragraph 1.
The instruction of Lord Kapila to his mother Devotee are fully described in the 3rd canto, chapter 25 to 32 of Srimad Bhagavatam. And anyone who follows the instruction can achieve the small liberation obtaining by Devotee.
Same
The
liberation.
same liberation obtained by Devotee. The Lord spoke Bhagavad Gita, and thereby Arjuna achieved a self-realization. And even today, anyone who follows the path of the Arjuna can also attain the same benefit as Sri Arjuna. The scriptures are meant for this purpose. Foolish, unintelligent person make their own interpretation by imagination and thus mislead their followers, causing them to remain in the dungeon of material existence. However, simply by following the instruction imparted by Lord Krishna or Lord Kapila, one can obtain the highest benefit even today. Haribo.
Right, so purpose of scriptures is self-realization. Lord Kapila is explained. Lord Kapila is Krishna himself. He is son of Kardama and Devahoti. So this canto 3, chapters 25 to 32 are very heavy philosophy on Sankhya Yoga that Lord Kapila spoke. So this Sankhya Yoga is not the impersonal Sankhya, rather devotional Sankhya is explained that Yes, Lord Kapila also explains the raw Sankhya philosophy of the elements of our body and the universe, but then also goes on to explain the devotional Sankhya that uh, we focus on devotional services, not just on the raw philosophy of how creation has happened or how our body is or how universe is. Questions, comments, realizations? All
Hare
right.
Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
So the translation said the mother got means he spoke to his mother about
Yeah.
self-realization.
Correct.
But when we are learning about others incarnation, that the parents and the mother and the father, they are already self-realized, then only Lord appear in their womb, right?
So you are correct. And in Canto 3, chapters 25 to 32, Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila, has a very humble mood. She actually says that I wasted my time in not really taking advantage of understanding this, although she attained Vaikunta planet, the same planet where Lord Kapila is. So Lord Kapila incarnated through Kardama and Devahuti, and then Lord Kapila instructed Devahuti, as well as through Devahuti, Lord Kapila is instructing us. So Devahuti first goes on to say that she wasted the time in not understanding self-realization from the husband. The husband, Kardama, is already a pure devotee.
Mhm.
Right? So she says, I wasted my time. So Kardama Muni, what he did was when the father of Devahuti said that I want um, you, Kardama, to marry her. So Kardama Muni said that I will marry on one condition. So Kardama Muni is also son of Brahmaji. And Kardama Muni said, I am supposed to live a life of celibacy and a brahmachari life. But Brahmaji said, no, you should get married and procreate. And because Lord is going to appear through you. So he said, okay, I will get married. And this is a very important learning from Kardama Muni, that he knows Lord is going to appear. Lord Kapila is Krishna himself. He knows Lord is going to appear as my son, and he marries on the condition that as soon as the son is born, I will leave home and I will go to Vanaprastha life. And everybody is like, what? You have the Lord in your home. Why would you take Vanaprastha? And he goes on to teach this is the purpose of scriptures. That scriptures say at a certain age of life, you take Vanaprastha. And yes, he says, I understand Lord is there, but he says, I am already self-realized. I am already with the Lord 24 hours through his meditation. So for teaching the Kardama Muni, who's father of Lord Kapila, first he is teaching. And then Devahuti says, no, you wait, you cannot leave. So first he begot 9 daughters. And he says, now I'm leaving. But Devahuti says, I don't have son. The daughters will also get married and go away. Where will I go? So he stays. He said, okay, I will begot a son and then leave. So he begot a son. And as soon as the son was born, he left. Now, this is also important to understand that few incarnations, they don't have childhood pastime. So, for example, Lord Kapila, there's no childhood pastime. He appeared as a fully grown man. Similarly, Prithu Maharaj and Archi, they are all, Prithu Maharaj is also Shakti Avesha Avatar, direct incarnation of the Lord. And Archi is incarnation of Goddess of Fortune. They also don't have childhood pastime. They were appeared as fully grown humans or human-like. They are not humans to begin with. So he left, and Lord Kapila also, there's no childhood pastime. He appeared as fully grown. He did speak to Kardama before Kardama left, and then Kardama took permission. Say, Lord, I have done my duty. My father and my spiritual master, Lord Brahmaji, wanted me to get married and begot. So I have done my duty. I have satisfied. Now I have to go to forest and focus on my meditation for self-realization. Although he is already a pure devotee, but he's teaching all of us. Archana, rest of you.
Very beautiful, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So Bhagavatam has everything. We'll soon discuss in Canto 2, Chapter 10. Canto 2, Chapter 10 is titled Bhagavatam is the answer for everything. So Bhagavatam gives you day to day how to live, day to day how to meditate, how to focus, everything in practice. Bhagavad Gita has principles. Bhagavatam gives you on a day to day how to live. So no, I'm not trying to glorify myself, but the way you asked a question and everything just came out from me, refreshed my memory. You should all have Bhagavatam and all the scriptures engraved in you like this. Right? Not that you come 2 hours on a weekend to put a tick mark. No, you have to engrave everything in your consciousness. Then you will get goosebumps. Then there is a chance that you may be able to remember the Lord at the time of death. Otherwise, you are better than materialistic people. But Lord Kapila also goes on to describe this, that if you don't endeavor properly and endeavor enough on the path of spirituality, then you will continue your life on material earth or material universes, life after life after life. You will continue spirituality in the material universes, but you will never attain perfection. Well, the goal is to attain perfection, not to continue spirituality life after life after life. Yes, after perfection also we continue reading Bhagavatam and continue doing services. But the way you all are, that I give you documents to read and it goes in a black hole, that doesn't serve the purpose here at all. You have to have this engraved in your consciousness so that tomorrow, just as Pragya got the opportunity to preach to somebody, well, you should be able to preach at moment's notice. Everybody on the same page? Nitya?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Nitya had a question.
Prabhu, in the purport, there's the description of Atmagatim and Brahmagatim. Are they the same? Realization of the soul and Brahman realization.
Which purport are you referring to?
Purport 3, last paragraph. Definite progress towards Brahmagatim or Atmagatim.
Let me read. Yeah, you are correct. That you either attain Brahman, you have self-realization, and then it says Kapilasya Gati. So if you go to the verse, has those words. So if you see the last line of verse 3, Kapilasya Gatim, right? So Gatim is liberation. So Kapilasya Gatim means you attain liberation to attain the Lord. Lord Kapila is Krishna himself. Then the second line has Atmagatim, means that is spiritual realization. So you attain different levels of realizations.
Thank you, Prabhu.
All right. Verse number 4, we'll read the translation and purport that devotee becomes more than the Lord. Shivangi, 4, translation and purport.
Hare Krishna, text 4, translation. The great sage Atri prayed for offspring, and the Lord, being satisfied with him, promised to incarnate as Atri's son, Dattatreya, Datta, the son of Atri. And by the grace of the lotus feet of the Lord, many Yadus, Haihayas, etc., became so purified that they obtained both material and spiritual blessings. Purport. Transcendental relations between the personality of Godhead and the living entities are eternally established in 5 different affectionate humors, which are known as Shanta, Tasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. The sage Atri was related with the Lord in the affectionate Vatsalya humor, and therefore, as a result of his devotional perfection, he was inclined to have the personality of Godhead as his son. The Lord accepted his prayer, and he gave himself as the son of Atri. Such a relation of sonhood between the Lord and his pure devotees can be cited in many instances. And because the Lord is unlimited, he has an unlimited number of father devotees. Factually, the Lord is the father of all living entities, but out of transcendental affection and love between the Lord and his devotees, the Lord takes more pleasure in becoming the son of a devotee than in becoming one's father. The father actually serves the son, whereas the son only demands all sorts of services from the father. Therefore, a pure devotee who is always inclined to serve the Lord wants him as the son and not as the father. The Lord also accepts that service from the devotee, and thus the devotee becomes more than the Lord. The impersonalists desire to become one with the Supreme, but the devotee becomes more than the Lord, surpassing the desire of the greatest monist. Parents and other relatives of the Lord achieve all mystic opulences automatically because of their intimate relationship with the Lord. Such opulences include all kinds of material enjoyment, salvation, and mystic powers. Therefore, the devotee of the Lord does not seek them separately, wasting his valuable time in life. The valuable time of one's life must therefore be fully engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Then other desirable achievements are automatically gained. But even after obtaining such achievements, one should be on guard against the pitfall of offenses at the feet of the devotees. The vivid example is Haihaya, who achieved all such perfection in devotional service, but because of his offense at the lotus feet of a devotee, was killed by Lord Parashurama. The Lord became the son of the great sage Atri and became known as Dattatreya. Hare Krishna.
So we read in the purport that generally father serves the son. Therefore, for reciprocation, devotee does not want Lord as the father. Rather, devotee wants Lord as the son so that the devotee can serve the Lord. And the Lord also accepts the service. This way, the devotee becomes more than the Lord. So, in Canto 3, Atri Muni is described that Atri Muni did not know who the Lord is. So he prayed to some higher being, and 3 personalities appeared simultaneously: Vishnu, Brahmaji, and Shiva. So he opened his eyes and he says, I was praying for one. 3 of you have come. I don't know who you are. So Prabhupada explains that although he is an elevated devotee, but he does not know exactly who Lord is. Therefore, he is not necessarily a pure devotee. Of course, he got three children, one from each Vishnu, Brahmaji, and Shiva, described in Canto 3. And Atri Muni said, I want a son like the Lord. It doesn't say I want Lord as the son. And therefore, Prabhupada goes on to say that he's not a pure devotee. He doesn't want Lord as the son. He wants a son like the Lord. Had he prayed that I want Lord as the son, Lord would have satisfied his that desire also. But this is all for our learning in terms of what should be our desire or our mood when we are doing meditation and prayers. Questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mhm.
Prabhuji, when we are saying that this chapter is about incarnation, then Dattatreya was an incarnation of uh, Krishna, right? Then
Vishnu, yes.
then why are we saying that Dattatreya is like Krishna, not Krishna himself? That's what we are trying to say right now, sir, Prabhuji.
So Krishna, of course, has his own personality. So the Atri Muni's episode that I was describing, that Atri Muni did not know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He just knew that there is some higher being. And therefore, when he was meditating, the three personalities appeared and he said, how come three of you are appearing? And the three personalities being Vishnu, Brahmaji, and Shiva said, we don't know whom you were praying. You were praying to Guna avatars. Well, there are three Guna avatars. And therefore, we three of us are here in front of you. So yes, each one of them, Vishnu gave the begot the son, Dattatreya. So of course, comes from Vishnu. But they all have their individual personalities. Okay.
Prabhuji, thank you.
Gauri.
Prabhuji, may I ask a question? In understanding the devotee,
Gauri first.
sorry.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This verse mentions the incarnation of Dattatreya. So I just wanted to ask from my experience back in India. I have seen families, they have the picture of Dattatreya. So, is it right to worship incarnations, or those who are worshipping incarnations, they're doing it in ignorance?
So depends on which incarnations you worship. Like some incarnations, we'll discuss in this chapter, some incarnations are vibhutis or some are Shakti Avesha avatar. So you have to understand when you worship an incarnation, you will attain that destination of that incarnation. Now, some worship universal form. Universal form is also an incarnation, but you don't go anywhere because universal form also gets annihilated when material universes are annihilated. And as Divya explained at our last class, that universal form does not exist in the spiritual world. Now, Lord Kapila as incarnation, if you worship Lord Kapila, is correct. So Devahuti worshipped and served Lord Kapila. Devahuti attained the same spiritual planet in Vaikuntha Loka where Lord Kapila eternally resides. So you have to be mindful rather than blindly worshipping somebody. Gauri?
Yeah, it will take some time to digest everything.
Yeah, you are correct. That the problem with Indians specifically is to first erase their slate. I mean, it's filled with so many misconceptions, although don't know why. Indians should own this philosophy to begin with. But somehow, Indians have the biggest misconceptions about spirituality, about their own scripture. So every time when you meet an Indian and you have to preach, the first thing you have to do is to spend time to erase their slate, including my own parents. That when I was explaining them to these scriptural basic topics, and they were saying, but I have heard this and I have heard that. And I had to first erase what all misconception they had. So this was something I should share, that devotees from our classes, from batch 1 and 2, they used to take turns to teach one chapter of Bhagavad Gita to my parents. And before they started this, I told these devotees that first I will go and explain few basic points to my parents so that I can erase their slate, and then they'll be able to, or at least they'll be ready to accept or hear what you all will have to say on Bhagavad Gita. So I first spent little time to erase their slate from all the misconceptions, and then devotees took turns. Many devotees from batch 1 and 2, because I couldn't do everything. I mean, I also work. So devotees took turns, that somebody would have a morning time or somebody had an evening time. There were some devotees in India also, some here. So they all took turns to explain one chapter after the other. But the point I'm trying to make is, I of course do thank all those devotees again. The point I'm trying to make is what Gauri just said, will take time to digest. Yes, because we have to first clean our slate, which is filled with misconceptions. Gauri.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Nitya.
Prabhu, when we understand devotee becomes more than the Lord, we are just talking in the hierarchy of the relationship, correct?
Correct.
Thanks, Prabhu.
All right, so we'll now read verse 5 and 6 translation, and then 6 purport. Divya will be reading. Verse 6 purport, Prabhupada explains that attraction to opposite sex is impediment to self-realization. Divya.
Hare Krishna. Text 5 translation. To create different planetary systems, I had to undergo austerities and penance, and the Lord, thus being pleased with me, incarnated in 4 sanas: Sanaka, Sanat Kumara, Sanandana, Sanatana. In the previous creation, the spiritual truth was devastated, but the 4 sanas explained it so nicely that the truth at once became clearly perceived by the sages. Text 6. To exhibit his personal way of austerity and penance, he appeared in the twin forms as Narayana and Nara in the womb of Murti, the wife of Dharma and the daughter of Daksha. Celestial beauties, the companions of Cupid, went to try to break his vows, but they were unsuccessful, for they saw that many beauties like them were emanating from him, the personality of Godhead. Prabhuji, the full purport?
6 purport.
Purport. The Lord, being the source of everything that be, is the origin of all austerities and penances also. Great vows of austerity are undertaken by sages to achieve success in self-realization. Human life is meant for such tapasya, with the great vow of celibacy or brahmacharya. In the rigid life of tapasya, there is no place for the association of women. And because human life is meant for tapasya, for self-realization, factual human civilization, as conceived by the system of Sanatana Dharma, or the school of 4 castes and 4 orders of life, prescribes rigid disassociation from women in 3 stages of life. In the order of gradual cultural development, one's life may be divided into 4 divisions: celibacy, household life, retirement, and renunciation. During the first stage of life, up to 25 years of age, a man may be trained as a brahmachari under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, just to understand that woman is the real binding force in material existence. If one wants to get freedom from the material bondage of conditional life, he must get free from the attraction for the form of woman. Woman, or the fair sex, is the enchanting principle for the living entities, and the male form, especially in the human being, is meant for self-realization. The whole world is moving under the spell of womanly attraction, and as soon as a man becomes united with a woman, he at once becomes a victim of material bondage under a tight knot. The desires for lording it over material world under the intoxication of a false sense of lordship specifically begin just after the man's unification with a woman. The desires for acquiring a house, possessing land, having children, and becoming prominent in society, the affection for community and the place of birth, and the hankering for wealth, which are all like phantasmagoria or illusionary dreams, encumber a human being, and he is thus impeded in his progress towards self realization, the real aim of life. The brahmachari, or a boy from the age of 5 years, especially from the higher castes, namely from the scholarly parents, the brahmanas, the administrative parents, the kshatriyas, or the mercantile or productive parents, the vaishyas, is trained until 25 years of age under the care of a bona fide guru or teacher, and under strict observance of discipline. He comes to understand the values of life along with taking specific training for a livelihood. The brahmachari is then allowed to go home and enter householder life and get married to a suitable woman. But there are many brahmacharis who do not go home to become householders, but continue the life of Naishtika brahmachari without any connection with women. They accept the order of sannyasa, or the renounced order of life, knowing well that combination with women is an unnecessary burden that checks self-realization. Since sex desire is very strong at a certain stage of life, the guru may allow the brahmachari to marry. This license is given to a brahmachari who is unable to continue the way of Naishtika brahmacharya, and such discriminations are possible for the bona fide guru. A program of so-called family planning is needed. The householder who associates with women under scriptural restrictions after a thorough training of brahmacharya cannot be a householder like cats and dogs. Such a householder, after 50 years of age, would retire from the association of women as a vanaprastha to be trained to live alone without the association of women. When the practice is complete, the same retired householder becomes a sannyasi, strictly separate from women, even from his married wife. Studying the whole scheme of disassociation from women, it appears that a woman is a stumbling block for self-realization, and the Lord appeared as Narayana to teach the principle of womanly disassociation with a vow in life. The demigods, being envious of the austere life of the rigid brahmacharis, would try to cause them to break their vows by dispatching soldiers of Cupid. But in the case of the Lord, it became an unsuccessful attempt when the celestial beauties saw that the Lord can produce innumerable such beauties by his mystic internal potency, and that there was consequently no need to be attracted by others externally. There is a common proverb that a confectioner is never attracted by sweetmeats. The confectioner who's always manufacturing sweetmeats has very little desire to eat them. Similarly, the Lord, by his pleasure potency, can produce innumerable spiritual beauties and not be the least attracted by false beauties of material creation. One who does not know alleges foolishly that Lord Krishna enjoyed women in his Rasa Leela in Vrindavana or with his 16,000 married wives at Dwaraka.
So, Prabhupada explains that attraction to opposite sex is impediment to self-realization. And it is not just attraction to female. The purport says female. In Canto 3, Lord Kapila goes on to describe that just as female is an impediment for male, similarly, male is an impediment for female. what is the impediment? Is the attachment to opposite sex. And this does not mean that devotees should not get married, and therefore Prabhupada gives the analogy that a store owner who sells sweets, he's surrounded by sweets 24 hours. He's selling sweets, making and selling sweets, but he's not attached to the sweets. Right? That way, the devotee do get married. I've given the example so many times. For example, our dear Dwarkanath Prabhu from our temple. Last time I also explained about Kamalakanta. That they were all brahmacharis. Kamalakanta was not brahmachari, but at least Dwarkanath was brahmachari with orange dress, living in the temple ashram. Then he gets married. Wife is also initiated. He's fully engaged in Krishna consciousness both. This way, you are not attached. Questions, comments, realizations? Nitya?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, understanding of human life is meant for self-realization. In the purport, it says that the male form, especially the human being, is meant for self-realization. And woman is just the enchanting principle. Is that correct?
So we have discussed this at the very start of Bhagavad Gita, as well as we have discussed this in chapter 9, that how one gets male form or female form depends on spiritual credits. Yes, there are many factors that determine the male and female form. One of the factors is that if somebody has more spiritual credits, he gets a male form. That's one of the criteria. And if somebody has less spiritual credits, then the soul gets a female form. And we have also further discussed that once you come to Bhakti Yoga, it does not matter whether you have male or female form. So we have discussed in chapter 9, should be around verse 32, where Krishna has called Shudras and female as lower. So what he's talking about lower? The lower is not in terms of comparatively higher or lower. Rather, the lower refers to that males who have a lot of spiritual credits from before, in a 100-meter race, the males are standing at the starting line. While females with less spiritual credits, in that same 100-meter race, they are standing a little behind than the starting line. But it does not matter. Krishna says it does not matter whether you are standing at the starting line or whether you are behind, meaning whether you are male or female, does not matter. Bhakti elevates anyone and everyone. Nitya.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you. But it does feel that in the scriptures that was propounded from millennium, from time immemorial, that it may be the hard truth, but it's always that women are at a lower level or a disadvantage in bhakti. I know that with our classes and with ISKCON, the understanding is very, very clear in the process of bhakti. And yes, Bhagavad Gita, I think, as you said, 9.32. But still, it always feels like maybe it's the hard truth, but they always place women at like a disadvantage. And of course, women didn't follow Varnashram. They didn't get this chance for spiritual progress. Is that the way we see it?
So in material world, people treat women lower. But in ISKCON, everyone is equal. You see male pujaris and female pujaris. There's no difference. Everybody is identical. And the most recent development for in the last year or so, you now also have female spiritual masters who are allowed to give initiation also. So up to last year, it was only male spiritual masters giving initiation, but now you have females also giving initiation. So in ISKCON, there is no difference. In the material world, Probably yes. Nitya?
Yes, Prabhu, thanks for clarifying. Yes, we can see that. Thank you so much.
Pragya?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my question was also similar, that about this only, that keeping women and Shudra lower. So women with Shudra. So means it's very difficult to understand. And you mentioned that lower means that they with the same spiritual credits also, women are behind men.
It's not
So
same
why?
spiritual credits, right? So I described that it's not same spiritual credits. Women have, those in female body, they have less spiritual credits. So we have heard at the start of Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, we have heard a lecture from Chaitanya Das about why women are considered as less intelligent. What does that less intelligent mean? So Chaitanya Das describes that everything in Bhagavad Gita is not that Lord is saying this is. Sometimes he's just referring as a fact. Now, if you see for yourself that male and female bodies are built differently. Females have more emotions, and Chetan Chandra described that if females did not have emotions, who's going to take care of young children? Where those young children are not as rational as grown up and they just want to do whatever they want to do. If females were not emotional, then nobody would be able to take care of children, especially the young children. So the boy, we have discussed at great length. This you can listen to Bhagavad Gita recording, just the first recording of chapter 2, where we have discussed women are considered as less intelligent. What does that mean? It's a statement from Bhagavad Gita 1.40, where Chanakya Pandit has given this statement. Well, we have discussed at great length that less intelligence refers to that women are more focused on how good I look. Well, that's not the proper use of intelligence from a Vedic perspective. From Vedic's perspective, the proper use of intelligence is how to get out of this material entanglement. But women are how good I look. Next time you travel, you will notice that when you are standing at a red light or at an intersection, you look in the mirror, and if there is a woman in the car behind, either driving or in the passenger seat, the woman is simply focused on applying lipstick or some blushing the cheeks or combing the hair, because that's what their focus is, how good I look. Now, it's not just females. You look at the film industry, even males put on lipstick. Are Baba, they are also less intelligent. The point of less intelligent is that if you are using your intelligence on how good I look, whether you are male or female, you are less intelligent. Less intelligent is not referring to that you are calling somebody lower. We know that in the material world, females are also CEOs, females are also doctors, females are also going to space. Well, it's not referring to body at all. And females from the spiritual angle, meaning soul females, meaning the souls who are in female body, well, they are also pujaris. So it's not talking either at the material body level or at the soul level when it says female are less intelligent. It just says that what are you using your intelligence for? Are you using it for how good I look? Well, then you are less intelligent, whether you are male or female. And Krishna clearly says there is no discrimination. In 9.32, we have discussed this, that there is no difference in any of the varnas. It's just that you have less spiritual credits, but bhakti does not discriminate. Whether you are doing apichet suduracharo, what is apichet suduracharo verse? Or whether you are female, Does not matter. Bhakti will elevate anyone and everyone. Anybody found? What is Apichet Suduracharo verse? Nobody? So I gave you all of you the option that since last Friday, Bhagavad Gita revision has started in batch 6 and 7. Only Pragya was interested because she got forced into wanting to explain this to others. Pragya, what was your realization when you were trying to explain?
Prabhuji, the realization was that I was the one who benefited, and I was so happy that she was so receptive, and
So we have to
she was
practice, right? Pragya said, I'm a big zero. I don't remember any of this. And I said, there's a revision coming up. So Shivangi is right, 9.30. Vichetsu Duracharu. Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhakt. Right? So you have to memorize. This should all get engraved in your consciousness. And Krishna says, whether you have incidental fall down or you are born with less spiritual credits as female, does not matter. Bhakti will elevate anyone and everyone. Shivangi, thank you. Pragya, does that answer?
Ji Prabhuji, I just also wanted to understand this, that the example and the of a sweetmeat seller with sweetmeats and God with his wives. So as if wives are sweetmeats. So, and Prabhuji, it is the whole question of attachment that is what has elevated Radha to Radha when we worship her. So attachment, when we are saying is an impediment, it is attachment to other than God. That's what we are trying to understand, Prabhuji.
Correct. In Canto 3, the Kapila Dev and Devahuti chapter, this exact point is explained that Devahuti was attached to the sun. Now, the sun is not ordinary. Sun is Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And this verse, Prabhupada explains that normally people are attached to the family at bodily level. And that attachment is bad. But Devahuti is attached to the sun. The sun is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That attachment is very good. And because of the attachment to the sun, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, that was an additional reason why Devahuti goes on to get purified and attain the same Vaikuntha Loka as Lord Kapila. So the verse for this attachment is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 33, verses 20 to 22. You can read by yourself 3.33, 20 to 22, where Prabhupada explains this point in the purport that attachment to the Lord, to the Son who is the Lord, is not the same attachment as those who are attached to Sun at the material bodily level. Okay.
Ji Prabhuji, so beautiful. And Prabhuji, this attachment of wives to Krishna, means that was at spiritual level, right?
So we have discussed this at great length in Canto 1. the chapter where Krishna enters Dwarka, around chapter 14, I think, Canto 1, where Krishna enters Dwarka. It's around verse 36 that the queens of Dwarka could not attract Krishna when they were trying to do some magical feats or moving their eyebrows or smiling lustfully. They could not attract Krishna. So it's chapter 11, Canto 1, chapter 11, Lord Krishna's entrance to Dwarka, where we have discussed this, that the only way the queens of Dwarka could attract Krishna was by devotional services. Yes, they are also attached to the Lord, but we have discussed at great length that these queens are not ordinary. They are the expansions of Srimati Radharani to give pleasure in different forms to the Lord. So we cannot just blindly compare. We have to understand. From our level, the verses are focusing on don't be attached to the members of opposite sex, whether you are male or female. And the examples of the Lord are at a different transcendental level. The relationship between the Lord and the gopis and the Lord and the queens are all at transcendental level. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji, so much. And you mentioned that the attachment to family is at bodily level. This is so true, Prabhuji, but can we change that?
So, Kunti Maharani has explained this in Canto 1, chapter 8. One of the benedictions he asks is, sever my ties with the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. They both are her immediate family members. So what is she saying in that verse? Prabhupada is explaining that when Kunti Maharani is saying to sever the ties with Pandavas and Vrishnis when both are devotees, how do you understand that? We are supposed to be attached to devotees. So why is Kunti Maharani saying, well, break my ties with the devotees? And Prabhupada explains. So this is from Canto 1, chapter 8, verses 41 and 42. That why did Kunti Maharani pray to Krishna to sever her affection from Pandavas and Vrishnis is so that she can expand her Krishna consciousness at the level of soul. So she is saying, break my bodily attachments so that I can expand at the level of soul and treat everyone equally, whatever be the bodily forms. So I fully agree with you, Pragya, that it is difficult, but it is not impossible. Right? It's a matter of practice. For some, maybe possible in one lifetime. For some, more than one lifetime. For some, more than few lifetimes. So it's possible. If you read Bhagavad Gita, let's read right now. If you read Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, should be around verse 24 or 25, that Prabhupada explains that what's the difference between Karma Kandya and Karma Kanda. Sorry, Karma Kandya and Karma Yoga. What's the difference? And Prabhupada says that externally Karma Kandya and Karma Yogi both are working. But the difference is level of attachment. That Karma Kandya is attached, ignorant and attached, while Karma Yogi is detached and Vidwan. Pragya, you want to read 3.25 Bhagavad Gita? So I had also given a very short lecture of Prabhupada for 3.25, where Prabhupada focused on these two words, Sakta and Avidwan, and Asakta and Vidwan. But lectures also probably went into black hole for many of you. So I don't know what to do for you all. Pragya, Bhagavad Gita 3.25 translation.
Prabhuji. Translation 3.25. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path.
Right. So detaching from family life does not mean you go to forest. I've also given a lecture from Prabhupada, one of my favorite lecture, how to find a Grahastha sannyasi, where Nitya had asked, give me that lecture. So what do you remember from that lecture? Prabhupada says in that lecture that if somebody is attached to family and even if he goes to forest alone, he will be living with 6 wives, the senses and the mind. While somebody who's a detached, a grahastha, who's not a grahamedi, one who is detached, he's living in the material world, in the family, with wife and children, he's still a sannyasi because he's not attached. He's simply focused on doing devotional services. So yes, I agree with what Pragya is saying, that we are all so much attached with our own body and everything associated with body. But it's a matter of practice. I mean, Prabhupada said the last 15, 20 years of your life, focus more on spirituality, focus on taking vanaprastha. Vanaprastha does not mean going to forest. Vanaprastha means spending more time on spirituality, not being attached to family. So practice. Many of you are at that level. So where's the practice? Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Bringing in this, reminding us about the Karma Kandi and Karma Yogi distinction is so important. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
So everybody, there is an opportunity for Bhagavad Gita revision. It's Friday, 8:30 p.m. Toronto time. It's end of the day for you, for many of you here in Toronto. And those who are in India, it's early morning Saturday, around 6 a.m. Well, start your day with Bhagavad Gita. But we are focused on cricket. We are focused on internet. We are focused on family attachment. Forget all this. We are all attached to our phones. So practice. Otherwise, you will just continue what Lord Kapila has said in Canto 3. You will continue spirituality life after life after life in the material world. You will never go back home to Godhead. The purpose is to go back to Godhead, not to just practice spirituality life after life after life after life forever. Now, I don't force anybody that you should attend all the classes. No, everybody has their own time and schedule. You can listen to recording. So just as Pragya did, Pragya took the recording that I will listen at a reasonably appropriate time for myself. So I'm not forcing anybody. We do have technology. We can use it to our advantage. But black hole is the crux of our discussion today. All right, let's continue. We covered very few verses. Of course, we're having good discussion. Who was the last read? When which verse? Was it Divya, verse 6?
I finished verse 6, Prabhuji.
Okay, all right, thank you. Pragya, verse 7 and 8 translation and 7 purport. In 7 purport, Prabhupada explains, Lord is not affected by the wrath. Wrath is a high degree of anger. 7-8 translation and 7 purport.
Hare Krishna. The seventh translation. Great stalwarts like Lord Shiva can, by their wrathful glances, overcome lust and vanquish him. Yet they cannot be free from the overwhelming effects of their own wraths. Such wrath can never enter into the heart of him, the Lord, who is above all this. So how can lust take shelter in his mind? Prabhuji, do I read verse 8 translation first or the purport first?
8 translation first.
Ji, Prabhuji. 8 translation. Being insulted by sharp words spoken by the co-wife of the king, even in his presence, Prince Dhruv, though only a boy, took severe penances in the forest, and the Lord, being satisfied by his prayer, awarded him the Dhruv planet, which is worshipped by great sages both upward and downward. Text 7, purport. When Lord Shiva was engaged in severely austere meditation, Cupid, the demigod of lust, threw his arrow of sex desire. Lord Shiva, thus being angry at him, glanced at Cupid in great wrath, and at once the body of Cupid was annihilated. Although Lord Shiva was so powerful, he was unable to get free from the effects of such wrath. But in the behavior of Lord Vishnu, there is no incident of such wrath at any time. On the contrary, Bhrigumani tested the tolerance of the Lord by purposely kicking his chest. But instead of being angry at Bhrigumani, the Lord begged his pardon, saying that Bhrigumani's leg might have been badly hurt because his chest is too hard. The Lord was the sign of the Lord has the sign of the foot of Bhrigupada as the mark of tolerance. The Lord, therefore, is never affected by any kind of wrath. So how can there be any place for lust, which is less strong than wrath? When lust or desire is not fulfilled, there is the appearance of wrath. But in the absence of wrath, how can there be any place for lust? The Lord is known as Aptakam, or one who can fulfill his desire by himself. He does not require anyone's help to satisfy his desires. The Lord is unlimited, and therefore his desires are also unlimited. All living entities but the Lord are limited in every respect. However, how can the limited satisfy the desires of unlimited? The conclusion is that the absolute personality of Godhead has neither lust nor anger, and even if there is sometimes a show of lust and anger by the absolute, it should be considered as an absolute benediction. Hare Krishna.
So Lord does not have anger. Example is given, and example of Dhruv Maharaj is given. That Dhruv Maharaj, a 5-year-old boy, is a Kshatriya. He got angry when his stepmother Suruchi chastised him, that you cannot sit on the lap of your father Uttanapada. And Dhruv Maharaj goes on to perform severe austerities that he pressed the whole earth down. He's a 5-year-old boy standing on one leg doing Ashtanga yoga. And he attained oneness with the Lord, and therefore he became so heavy that he pressed the whole earth down. And Lord goes on to give him Dhruv Loka. So Dhruv Maharaj became so famous, and this is the learning from Dhruv Maharaj's pastime, that there is no point in living a long life. Rather, you should live a life in such a way that people in their heart remember you for million of years. That's the long life he's referring to. So even materialistic people know about polar star or Dhruv Loka. That's the first star you see every evening. That's the planet that the super soul gave to Dhruv Loka, because Dhruv Loka desired that I want a planet, I want a place. He didn't say planet. I want a place which is better than what Brahmaji even has. That Brahmaji has even not traveled. Now, Brahmaji is the first living being of this universe. So for Dhruv Maharaj, Lord created this new planet within this existence. Although Dhruv Maharaj's planet, Dhruv Loka, yes, it is within the material universe. It is visible to us from here, but it is still part of spiritual world. So Dhruv Loka is on the edge of where the material universe ends and the spiritual universe starts. It is visible to us from material universes. But that's what the Lord created for Dhruv Maharaj. And Brahmaji is also not permitted to go to Dhruv Loka, even though Brahmaji is the first living being, is the creator of, the secondary creator of everything in this universe. He has also not seen Dhruv Loka. It's only those who qualify to be at Dhruv Loka. So the super soul, the Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, resides also at Dhruv Loka. The Kshirodakshayi Vishnu who expands in all of us as Paramatma. Questions, comments, realizations? Nitya will read verse 9 and 10 translations.
Yes, Prabhu. Text 9. Maharaja Vena went astray from the path of righteousness, and the Brahmana chastised him by the thunderbolt curse. By this King Vena was burnt with his good deeds and opulence and was en route to hell. The Lord, by his causeless mercy, descended as his son by the name of Prithu, delivered the condemned King Vena from hell, and exploited the earth by drawing all kinds of crops as produce. Text 10. The Lord appeared as the son of Sudevi, the wife of King Nabi, and was known as Rasaba Deva. He performed materialistic yoga to equibalance the mind. This stage is also accepted as the highest perfectional situation of liberation, wherein one is situated in oneself and is completely satisfied.
So, verse number 9 purport explains the impact of offending great personalities is that the opulence is vanquished, and that we should follow in the footsteps of great souls, that we should not offend anyone. And Lord Kapila goes on to describe this in Canto 3, that we should respect everyone. If we cannot respect, at least do not disrespect. So Vena was very atrocious, and he did not follow the rules and regulations. He quotes a lot of Bhagavad Gita verses for himself, that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You should pray me. I am the king. You should call me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer all opulences and all offerings to me. I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the sages go on to kill the Vena through mantras, because that was a real extreme circumstances. Brahmanas generally do not kill. And Vidura goes on to inquire, how come, what was so severe that Brahmanas have to resort to this extreme situation of killing Vena? And we have to learn not to be puffed up and not to disrespect anyone. And of course, Rishabh Dev is also an incarnation of the Lord. So Here's a very important fact I will give you. When I started Srimad Bhagavatam long time ago, I did a lot of analysis first instead of starting to read because it's such a huge volume of verses. So I was doing a lot of analysis and I listed Prabhupada lectures of Bhagavatam. Prabhupada has about some more than 700 some lectures. And many of the lectures are for one verse. Some verses have two lectures, but majority are one lectures for many of the verses. Some have two. And two sets of verses stood out in Prabhupada lectures. I should say three. But first, the two sets of verses is 1.2.6. Anybody memorize 1.2.6? Savai Pumsa Parodharma.
I can try, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Sabai tamsa parodharma atadbhukti adokate ahaituki apradihata aya ayatma suprasibati.
Very good. Right. So this is that bhakti is the essence. That's the verse. So 1.2.6, 7 and 8, the three verses are similar. That if you don't do bhakti, if you do all the activities, if it doesn't generate attraction to the Lord, then it is Shrama eva hi kevalam. So Prabhupada has about 8 or 10 lectures for these verses. And then for Rishabdev verses, so in Canto 5, Chapter 5, the first 6 verses, Rishabdev is teaching to his 100 sons that sense gratification is available even to the animals. So why are you wasting your human form of life? Spirituality is the only thing different, and spirituality is only possible in human form of life. Therefore, use the human form of life for spirituality. So I notice that these two sets of verses, 1.2.6 plus the 6, 7, Prabhupada has about 8 or 10 lectures. And then 5.5, the first 6 verses, Prabhupada has many lectures. And this became the highlight that Prabhupada is focusing on these two things. Do bhakti and don't be attached to sense gratification. Plus, Prabhupada also has a lot of verses, a lot of lectures on Kunti Maharani prayers. So for Kunti Maharani prayers from Canto 1, Chapter 8, verses 18 to about 43, Prabhupada has more than 48 lectures. That's a lot of lectures on one topic. Why Prabhupada gave so many lectures on Kunti Maharani prayers is because that's the first set of full prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam. And then we know that Bhagavatam is prayers after prayers after prayers after prayers. So this became the focus. This was the analysis I did. I'm like, Prabhupada is trying to make us focus on something. And then there were so many chapters in between where Prabhupada has no lectures. Yes, they are important. But Prabhupada has no lectures or just 1 or 2 lectures. What Prabhupada is saying is focus on these points. Yes, other points you have to learn, you have to understand. But the focus is focus on devotional service and focus on not being attached to sense gratification. So Rishabdev is teaching those. So we have Shivangi and Chandran Prabhus who are there from batch 1 and 2, where Canto 5 will start very soon in about next 2 months' time, where we will discuss this at great length. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, Mayank will read verse 11 and 12 translation.
Hare Krishna. The Lord appeared as the Hayagriva incarnation in a sacrifice performed by me, Brahma. He is the personified sacrifices, and the hue of his body is golden. He is the personified Vedas as well, and the super soul of all demigods. When he breathed, all the sweet sounds of the Vedic hymns came out of his nostrils. At the end of the millennium, the would-be Vaivasvata Manu of the name Satyavrata would see that the Lord in the fish incarnation is a shelter of all kinds of living entities, up to those in the earthly planets. Because of my fear of the vast water at the end of the millennium, the Vedas come out of my mouth, and the Lord enjoys those vast waters and protect the Vedas.
So, verse 11 purports explains that devotees may not perform sacrifices or may not please demigods. Still, devotees are on a higher level than fruitive workers and demigod worshippers. Plus, verse number 12, translation has the word would be. That means Brahmaji is foretelling what is going to happen. Gauri, verse 13, translation, paragraph 1.
Hare Krishna. Verse 13. The primeval Lord then assumed the tortoise incarnation in order to serve as a resting place pivot for the Mandara mountain, which was acting as a churning rod. The demigods and demons were churning the ocean of milk with the Mandara mountain in order to extract nectar. The mountain moved back and forth, scratching the back of Lord Tortoise, who, while partially sleeping, was experiencing an itching sensation. Purport: although it is not our experience, there is a milk ocean within this universe. Even the modern scientist accepts that there are hundreds of thousands of planets hovering over our heads, and each of them has different kinds of climatic conditions. Srimad Bhagavatam gives much information which may not tally with our present experience, but as far as Indian sages are concerned, knowledge is received from Vedic literatures, and the authorities accept without any hesitation that we should look through the pages of authentic books of knowledge, Shastra Chakshurvat. So we cannot deny the existence of the ocean of milk as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam unless and until we have experimentally seen all the planets hovering in space. Since such an experiment is not possible, naturally we have to accept the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam as it is, because it is so accepted by spiritual leaders like Sridhara Swami, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti, and others. The Vedic process is to follow in the footsteps of great authorities, and that is the only process for knowing that which is beyond our imagination.
So Prabhupada explains the limitation of our experiences. Even when we have limitations, scientists and many other people, even devotees also, they jump to conclusions with our tiny experiences. We have limited senses, we have limited life, but we jump to conclusions rather than relying on scriptures. Our experience will not tally with Srimad Bhagavatam because we do not have complete experience. Srimad Bhagavatam gives us complete information. Such information will not match with what the scientists say. Matan 14 translation.
Hare Krishna. The personality of Godhead assumed the incarnation of Narasimhadeva in order to vanquish the great fear of demigod. He killed the king of demons, Hiranyakashipu, who challenged the Lord with the club in his hand by placing the demon on his thigh and piercing him with his nails, rolling his eyebrows in anger and showing his fearful teeth and mouth.
So in the purport, Prabhupada describes the pastime of Narsimhadev, that how Lord Narsimhadev kept Brahmaji's all promises given to Hiranyakashipu and still goes on to kill Hiranyakashipu. In essence of time, we'll read the last two verse translations today, 15-16, and Chandran Prabhu, 15-16 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 15. The leader of the elephants, whose leg was attacked in a river by a crocodile of superior strength, was much aggrieved. Taking a lotus flower in his trunk, he addressed the Lord, saying, O original enjoyer, Lord of the universal, O deliverer, as famous as a place of pilgrimage, all are purified simply by hearing your holy name, which is worthy to be chanted. Text 16. The personality of Godhead, after hearing the elephant's plea, felt that the elephant needed his immediate help, for he was in great distress. Thus, at once the Lord appeared there on the wings of the king of birds, Garuda, fully equipped with his weapon, the wheel, Chakra. With the wheel, he cut to pieces the mouth of the crocodile to save the elephant, and he delivered the elephant by lifting him by his strength. Hare Krishna.
So straightforward verses explaining about Gajendra, the prayers of Gajendra. In verse number 15, purport, Prabhupada explains that elephant is stronger than crocodile. But crocodile is stronger than elephant in water because crocodile is in its natural state. That means one will be stronger in his natural state. We all are in the grip of material energy, and this is not natural for we all souls. If we cultivate to be in the natural environment under superior energy, then we will be stronger because we are connecting with the Lord. But when we try to enjoy separate from the Lord, then we fail. And in verse number 16, purport, Prabhupada explains the word aprameya, means Lord is unlimitedly powerful. For the last few minutes, first let me give you spiritual endeavor question. Let's see if we reach. Yeah. So spiritual endeavor question, please write down one question. How does a devotee become more than the Lord? Comes from verse number 4. And read rest of chapter 7 if you have not already read. You can also read chapter 8. Chapter 8 is straightforward, is only listing of some 30 some questions by Parikshit Maharaj. Pretty straightforward chapter. You can read. We won't be able to cover at our subsequent class, but we'll see how time progresses. All right, last thing for today is inquiries and striking points submitted by devotees. First question, Nitya is going to answer. Nitya, you can read the question and then answer.
Yes, Prabhu. For remembering Sri Krishna at the time of death, can we get used to any way that works for us? Listening to bhajans like the Govinda Adi Purusham or Damodar Ashtakam or Kunti Maharani's prayers that glorify his Leela and praise regards to him remain echoing in our mind? Is being in the bhajan mode also a process of bhakti, or is lighting a lamp offering bhog unnecessary? Sorry, I'm just going to drop. So in Bhagavad Gita, verse 8.5, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna that when one quits his body, remembering the Lord, he at once attains Lord's nature. And in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23, the highlights of the 9 processes of devotional service, Sharavanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Sakyam, Dasyam, Atma Nivedanam. Kirtan is one of the 9 processes of devotional service described. Srila Prabhupada has given us that in any one of these 9 processes can lead to perfection, and they are identical. So hearing bhajans and remembering Lord Krishna in any one of these 9 processes will guarantee us success at the end of life. When we remember Lord Krishna through our lifetime, Lord Krishna will remember us at the end of life.
Okay, very good. So you can either absorb in listening to kirtan such as Damodarashkam or Kunti Marani prayers or Bhishmadev prayers, whatever works for you, that keeps echoing in your consciousness is perfect to follow. So as Nitya correctly pointed out, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. That kirtan is one of the mode of bhakti. Now the question also says, what about Gopinath worship, etc.? So the purpose of Gopinath worship and various associated devotional services are just so that we can come to chanting offenselessly. Otherwise, Gopinath worship is not required in Kali Yuga. Simply chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the Yuga Dharma for Kali Yuga. And this is given in Srimad Bhagavatam 12.3.52. Whosoever wants to read the translation from the screen, everybody has read quickly.
Hare Krishna. Can I?
Go ahead.
Whatever result was obtained in Satyuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, in Dwapar Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Right? So you don't need Gopinath worship. And soon after we finish Bhagavatam Canto 2, we are going to revise Nectar of Devotion. So in Nectar of Devotion, you will read in chapter 13 that if you have attraction for material things, then don't do Gopinath worship. So it's given in a sarcastic way. Basically, it's telling is, if you want to get out of material attraction, then do Gopinath worship. That's why we do Gopinath worship, so that we get out of attraction of material attractions and we come to chanting offenselessly. Otherwise, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is good enough for as the sacrifice, as the Yuga Dharma for Kali Yuga. Does that answer the inquiry?
Ji Prabhuji, thank you so much. Thanks to Nitya
Right.
Mataji.
Yeah. Question number 2. Since Lord and his energies are limitless, a fraction of limitless thing is also limitless. Therefore, both 1/4 and 3/4 portions of energies as Ekpad Vibhuti and Tripad Vibhuti should also be limitless. So how do we understand the 1/4 and 3/4 bifurcation? Is energy for material opulence really lesser than that of spiritual world? So you are correct that this is very difficult to understand. So souls are infinite. And you take any percentage of the infinite souls, well, that also will be infinite. So certain concepts are very difficult to grasp because our brains have limited capacity. Example, in Srimad Bhagavatam, the second half of Canto 5 describes the geography of universes. And His Grace Chaitanya Chandas, whose authority on scriptures, he has said in a lecture that it is very difficult to grasp the geography of the universe, although it's given at great length in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Shivangi and Chandan Prabhus are soon going to get this covered in batch 1 and 2. Well, it's going to be very difficult to absorb. So we accept certain things from scriptures that material world is of lesser size than the spiritual world. Does that answer the inquiry?
Ji Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Striking points. You have 3 slides. Take a snapshot. Slide 1. slide 2. And slide 3. We are back at 9 a.m. Toronto time. We will stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, everyone.
Hare
Everybody,
Krishna. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.